What's up, sad boys? How's it going? Grayson Todd here. Now, you may have caught my first video about Say Anything where I went song by song of Is a Real Boy. For their second album, in defense of genre, I thought it would be the perfect opportunity to go song by song, since it is a double LP, meaning it has far more songs than you would see on a standard album. A double concept LP in 2007 in the emo scene? Unfucking heard of. I've always found this album to speak about the differences of age, how we view love when we're younger versus when we're older. Skinny Me Man is the first edition from our younger side. Is a Real Boy is a meta-contextual analysis about Mats himself being the artist in a band, writing about being a fictional artist named Mats in a fictional band, Say Anything. In defense of genre is Mats trying to look outwardly and him kind of creating this character out of these observations. How he preyed on your ripe insecurities, the thorn in your side is alive, it's killing me, is seeing himself as a good guy, here to rescue women from the boring middle-aged world of complacency and marriage. He's romantic in a poetic sense, but not romantic in the sense of actually listening and understanding the needs of the other individual. It will be going against the first song on the second album, which is Spay Me, a slightly different start to a very different LP.
I fucked someone with words, broke a promise.
This song starts the second CD out with a little bit of bitterness. There's a little more anger in this. The relationship has been going on a long time. They're now older, maybe middle age, and Mats is reevaluating his life. Now Mats is faced with a decision. He can stay complacent in this relationship, cater to me, or punch myself until my face is blue. You can see that leaving a situation, leaving a relationship that you've spent so much time in, so much investment in, can still create uncertainty. Even if you have been planning to leave, there's still this thing in the back of your mind that's just like, what did I just do? What did I just ruin? What did I just throw away? Is it a better opener than Skinny Me Man? I personally am gonna go with Skinny Me Man, just because it'll start our playlist off with a little more of a bang than Spay Me.
This song belongs to you.
I love the feature on it at the end. Her name is Anna Waronker. She is the front woman of That Dog and the daughter of a producer, lucky lady. The production on this album has really pushed Mats to bring in more genres, bring in more sounds that you probably wouldn't have heard on Is a Real Boy. This one to me feels more about the complacency of dating, going to bars, seeing people do this routine where they don't care and then they wonder why they're alone or why they're getting treated badly. You should have confidence, you should wear your scars, you shouldn't feel like you just have to go to any man that isn't paying attention to you.
Empty wallet and a record cover. The stage hot and worn like.
It's not that I have a problem with this feature. It just comes by so quickly. I really like how it starts. Gerard Way comes in sounding sexy, and then it just kind of to the end. If you get Gerard Way in the studio to say whatever you want, and then you don't mix in your vocals with this, then I don't really know what the point is. I've always listened to these albums in succession. Typically never break up Say Anything or shuffle Say Anything because their albums are experiences within themselves. I personally think that No Soul just comes together better. And that is why I'm adding No Soul to our playlist.
One, two, three. Horrible, you're so easy. Talk sleazy.
This song perfectly captures what I believe to be Mats at a bar. He's throwing drinks down and he's a little confident. He shares a little too much and he asks maybe the wrong questions. I think the most important thing that I took away from this song when I was 14 years old and this album came out, how you can switch something up, something that seems so counterintuitive, and create an emotional response with it. And then a little ska guitar and a little delay, there's reverb with electronic drums behind it. Not to even mention that Anthony Ranieri's voice and Matt Bemis's voice work so well together that I still, to this day, have trouble distinguishing who's singing what in this song.
You're a pretty face, you should like me. I wanna get
This is the first one on the second CD that does actually grab me. Looking at it now, I'm trying to gather exactly what the concept's about, what we're singing about here. What it seems to on the surface is two people that are really bitter at each other. They're unemployed, they're losers, and they have this anger and depression. They've been through relationships until I got to the lyric, if only you were alive, I could trust you. If only you were alive. I'm starting to think that this isn't to a dead lover, it's not to a current lover, but instead it's Matt's talking to himself. The self-loathing, the self-hatred, not being able to look at yourself, that's not how you procreate, that's not how you advance relationships with other people. The murder that marks you every day, the stain in your soul won't wash away. Did he murder someone? Wait. This is about abortion. This is not the way we procreate. The murder that marks you every day, the stain in your soul won't wash away. We spit on the cross just like we're trained, but I'm up for it if you are, handsome. He's still being cheeky about it, and you never really get his true perspective. It's always cynical and slightly nihilist, but sometimes he slips into sincerity. There's several readings of this song, and I think all of them are valid. That is why fundamentally changed how I thought about music, and it still hits me that way today, and I cannot deny that I would want it on the playlist more. Folks, we got a shutout.
tearing out my hair on a bedroom floor.
Here we have our main character swearing off their meds, choosing to self-medicate with sets and marijuana, imagining where the keys could be. Where could I find those keys? Well, if I were the keys,
I would be free.
this feels like more of a plot song. It's a necessary step for where we end up going in this album. Some of the lines in here feel like, once again, Matt's trying to be edgy, or him co-opting things in order to create a certain emotion. Is this just a line in a song? Because that's weird to say something as definitive as if they didn't.
You've got nowhere to go. Whoa.
It has the anger and the bitterness that Matt has been trying to portray. Really feels like just an emotional purging, using your disorders or using whatever as an excuse to act a certain way or shitty behavior. I think that's an interesting point. I think this song, The Word You Wield, is stronger and the first off the second CD to grace our dear playlist.
I'm sprinting, yet I stride. My satchel filled with vials.
Still not entirely sure what this song's about. This is fucking ecstasy. This is fucking leprosy. I get confused in the metaphor sometimes. It's very fun. It's very bouncy. It keeps the momentum going throughout the song. And on the other hand, disc 2 is gonna offer a very quiet, very personal song.
Oh, well, everybody good knows how hard you blow.
I have to admit, the first couple of times I listened to this album, this song I did not enjoy. With the very slow guitar under it was just something I didn't want to hear at 14 years old. I was in my fast phase. I want fast music, hard music, yelling music, screaming music. But the older I get and subsequent listen to of this album, I've come to realize that Vex is not only a solid song, but one of the best and most fun songs seen on this entire album. This is truly the first difficult decision I've had to make today. Vex is a unique, one-of-a-kind song, and I will take the more unique song over a very competently well-produced song any day. Creativity, I try to reward it. It's when we get to the church channel that this concept finally becomes fun. The great thing about Say Anything is you can enjoy these songs on their own without even needing to dive into the concept. But if you want to dive into it, like I always do, then you will find that there are a lot of layers and plot threads that you could follow. From this point forward is the rest of the album in Matt's head. Almost a Joker and Harley Quinn situation going on here. This is the first time I think feature is really used with Matt's vocals. You introduce a feature artist, you give them a little moment to shine just to say, hey, I'm here, and then you come together and your vocals work off one another. Now you have brought the talents of the two bands together and truly created something magnificent.
But I don't wanna get lost in the ocean.
I really love how chaotic this album is. I love Matt Skiba's feature on this, but just like the Gerard feature, it just kind of fizzles out into nothingness. Like that is why they come in with this outro out of nowhere with a beatboxing background. That church channel and the Haley Williams back and forth is just so, it's just so good.
I remember it vividly, love. I've been walking erect since the moment we met and I caught your eye.
This is the first straight up like pop song, I would say, on this record. It's supposed to capture that very pop youthful sense of love. If we take the church channel on face value, then him and his nurse genuinely fell in love, and they leave it together not as patient and doctor, but as lovers. Back over to the depression timeline.
Go grow some balls. I'll think of you when your mama calls.
If Girlfriend is a celebration of new love, then You're the Wanker, if anyone is a celebration of breaking off that love. You're old and slow, I'm fast and new, baby. Matt is feeling high and confident, and this is his choice. You're not gonna bring him down anymore. I think I have to do Girlfriend.
Baby girl, I'm a blur. I spoiled stunted.
Say Anything isn't a dance pop band. They're not a dance pop band that sings about sex. And on its own, I don't really like this song a whole lot. I do think that Matt captures that sexiness in here. We fall back down, we get back up again. I don't think he means tripping over each other.
I was watching Demolition Man, talking dirty to.
I think this one does capture the dirty, raw, sexual energy a little better than Baby Girl, I'm a Blur. He mentions that he has a baby. I'm not sure which relationship or at which point he did get a baby. It makes the abortion song a little more interesting. He tried talking the girl into an abortion, so they split up. She got in a cab and fucking dipped. He's trying to rebound, regain his former glory. Then he can't help but think about the relationship he has lost. I will always respect Matt's ability to be raw without being petty.
They take advantage of him all of the time.
I had issues with the name of it even back when it was released, and it still makes me go, I don't know if that's the right term, Mac. I see what you're trying to do, Mac. I don't really like it. Two stories here. One of his experience through life. The honeymoon phase is over. The sexy phase is over. And now it's time to fall in love. Now he's starting to observe more than just her physical traits. He's starting to observe who she is as a person. Or we're back in the real world and the past two songs were just fantasies. He was just fantasizing about having sex with her, and he's realizing like, oh no, I don't just want to this hot nurse. I kind of love her.
The girl can move, and she did. We were captives on a casino.
We Killed It comes out fucking fast and heavy. It's just under 2 minutes and it does not slow down for a second. There's still enough in here to keep the song interesting and to have surprises. Also, if it means I never have to say the title of the other song again, then I'm gonna choose We Killed It. This song reads a little more juvenile than I would have previously thought. It seems to come out of nowhere. The last time we left our dear hero, so it was him building up the courage to talk to this nurse. Turns out there's another man, a boyfriend, there's just some sort of person in the way. And given that context, I think it does put in perspective the young love and makes us feel so evocative of that emotion in that time period in your life.
Drives me insane, drives me insane.
This feels almost like a Every Man Has a Molly Part 2, the way that he repeats it so much. If the second part, the second CD is supposed to be from this older perspective, how old are we talking? At what age you would stop saying, I'll go out and get crunk with my friends? And then also defecating on the lawns of the Barbies and Kens? Like, it doesn't sound like a badass fuck you punk thing to do. You sound like what? You're gonna go shit on people's lawns because they look good? I'm gonna say that People Like You is a superior song.
Jesus died at you. Pupils painted blue.
And now we get to the most confusing cut. So Max has grievances, and he likes to get his grievances out in the form of song. Who doesn't? Who doesn't? It's an outlet. That's what it's for. But it's also about choosing your battles. I've experienced aggressive anti-theism, but I don't think I've ever experienced aggressive Judaism. It just kind of hits differently. You say you hate the shade of my face. He seems to have a problem with people calling him white. He counters with, yeah, well, Jewish people were slaves before black people. Or specifically, Jewish people were slaves before yours invented hip hop. Another brother to scoff at the dancing patterns of white folk. They're making fun of you for how you're dancing. And so you say, hey, well, my people were slaves. Guess what? Jesus died a Jew. They paint his pupils blue in the textbooks and the paintings. Bet you didn't know that. So it looks like I'm winning. Later, second verse, his grievance. You say you hate the breadth of my nose for my daddy's ears locked. People make fun of the size of his nose. His nose was shunned before you pierced it and call it punk rock. It's so smug, and it's like, I don't know who he's talking to.
And I screw my life up evermore as I puke my...
I feel like the instrumentals in this bring up the Jewish theming so much better than the other song. Plus, I'm a sucker for Anthony Green. Plus, this is just a fun tell. There's a lot of tongue-in-cheekiness. I awaken to the bacon she's preparing for me. That's the joke. He doesn't eat pork. He's made such a poor decision that this woman doesn't even know he's Jewish. Y'all ready to get bummed out? Let's do it.
Failure is angular. It isn't circle-shaped.
He always has to have an acoustic song, a touching acoustic heartstring pulling song on every record. The insult being that he has betrayed his ancestors, his God, his commandments by laying with a woman that wasn't the woman that he loved. I laid a curse on her. Another wasted verse on her, gave birth to her. Used his musical powers, his wand. He casted a hex upon this woman. Also acknowledging that this has all been conjured and manufactured within himself and that he is solely to blame. And then I think he contemplates killing himself. This is a lie to another girl that he's manipulating into bed because he's an addict or something. I think the honesty and the performance in it is touching and hits the emotions that Mats is trying to get.
Oh, have you left me here to rest?
If the other one made me feel emotions, this one just makes me feel sleepy. I do not like Matt's performance on it. And now we've come to our final songs, our final matchups.
It's too much to do on my own. My friends need you now.
It's a good closer. It has energy. It does feel weird, like it breaks character or it breaks the storyline. It pulls us into the real world. And now we're talking about Matt's by name and we're talking about going on tour and being in a band. It's like, wait, was Matt's the character the whole time? Is this supposed to be a realization? It feels like an apology song to the band and like a, hey guys, we're gonna tour and we're gonna be great and everything's gonna come back together. It's just a weird note to leave off of. Let's see if I used to have a heart can compare or at least keep it on point.
All I wanna do is be mentored by you.
It's really weird how like some songs will have barely any lines in it and then other songs he writes an entire fucking novel for. This is my least favorite instrumental. It's supposed to sound like an alternative rock kind of grunge song from the 90s. Since there is one more song on CD 2, I think it's perfectly okay if I put sorry dudes, my bad, and then we end it with plea.
Please come. Please.
It's kind of a downer for the ending of the album. It makes sense. He's at the end of his rope and he's just like, can we just run away? Maybe someday we can be the king and queen. You bring Haley Williams back because that was the original voice. That was the original love he had from the church channel. Though I don't think her vocals quite work as well in this song as it did on the church channel. I'm just glad that they did bring her back to kind of close the loop, bring everything to an ending. It will also close out our playlist. We have 6 songs from disc 2 and 8 songs from disc 1. And that pretty much lines up with how I feel about the 2 CDs. Disc 2 has some of my favorite little gems on it and takes some weirder, more interesting risks. I think we have created the most perfect amalgamation of those 2 albums. Now, what will be interesting is listening to this playlist, listening to this version, and trying to see if the storyline tracks and if the emotional journey tracks with the mishmashing of the 2 albums. Do you agree with this? Do you disagree? What songs would you have chosen? Please let me know down below. What album would you like to see? Please let me know. I'm Grayson Todd. Thank you for watching. Listen to some good shit. Toodles.